Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu joins me in the studio to discuss this. Good morning, Chika, and welcome to the show.
Morning, Idia. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. So by next year, Dangote Cement will be the largest exporter of cement to sub-Saharan Africa, exporting to even African countries with limited access to limestone. Now, what are some of the impacts that this will have on inter-African trade?
This is one of those news that you hear, and you're very happy to be a Nigerian. Indeed, if you know that as how many years ago, to 2011, Nigeria was one of the highest importers of cement in the world. Indeed, 2011, we imported about 5.1 metric tons of cement into the country. You know, you can imagine how much FX foreign exchange Nigeria was spending in production of cement. And now, the good news, like last year, Dangote almost sold about 14 metric tons in Nigeria and exported about 800,000 tons to Africa. So this is a very, very good news for our country. Very good news for our country. So on a larger African scale, this is also very good. You also know that Dangote has plants in 9 African countries already. That also, in addition to the plants he has in Nigeria, so this will boost inter-African trade. So this is good for Africa, because you know the new lingo is Africa must buy Africa. Africa must produce what it needs and what it consumes. So this is along that line.
Okay, but what about the impacts that this will have on business and the Nigerian economy?
Salutary, very, very, very salutary, very, very good news for us. I mean, immediately, you remember I said 2011, we were net importers of cement into Nigeria, consuming so much of our FX. Now we're actually exporters. You know, so you can imagine what's happened. We have served the foreign exchange that we used to dispense in this importation of cement. Now we're winning foreign exchange from exportation of cement to other African countries. So it's very good for economy. More employment for our country, conservation of our FX, and ending of foreign excess to stabilize our own local currency.
Okay, well, this is definitely very good news for Nigeria. But now I want to talk about this NNPC story. So NNPC recovered assets from defaulting marketers, which included filling stations, water factories, and sports utility vehicles. My question is, how did this happen in the first place?
I think you have actually, asked the question that is in everybody's lips, and because of the fact that a typical fuel depot, a typical well-run fuel depot, as the tankers are coming in to lift, there's first of all a weigh bridge. That weighs the tanker, finds the weighters when it's empty. So it comes in, drives into the loading bay, and there are meters there that measure the fuel loaded into the tanker, and it's recorded and automatically included in the accounting system for invoicing to the oil marketer. And then as he's leaving the depot again, is also weighed again to make sure that the right load has been put into it to avoid any discrepancies. So the news for me in this is, how did this happen?
Exactly.
How did NNPC make this happen? So yes, the recovery they have made is like medicine after death. But how do we prevent this going forward? Because how did it happen? Is it that the news isn't complete for us? The NNPC staff?
Definitely very incomplete.
The oil marketer just come in there and read the place or whatever. Some people loaded the products into those tanks. So for me, that's it. I do believe that from the analysts outside, I believe that it's because of the fact that most of the processes are manual. Because if they are really automated, they are using robust enterprise systems there. I don't think this kind of thing will happen.
Absolutely. Now, with the amount of checks it even takes to get into the NNPC building, depot. I can't imagine that something like this would happen. But anyway, speaking of Access Bank and Diamond Bank PLC now, and this merger that's said to be very, very good news, can you take us through the pros and cons that shareholders must have been taking into consideration in making their decisions? Again,
this is another good news for the banking system. A Tier 1 and a Tier 2 bank have come together to merge. In that respect, and you know that the new enterprise, we have more than 600 branches, 3,000 ATMs, 32,000 POS, 60 million debit cards, and 29 retail customers. Indeed, the emerging bank will become Africa's #1 retail bank. you know, in that respect. And for Nigeria, for example, they will control about 45% of the customers that have BVN. So it's massive for them. So for the customers, you know, for the shareholders, for example, I think they should look at it in 3 respects: revenue enhancement, balance sheet enhancement, and also, of course, cost savings. You know, and for example, we heard that the combined enterprise, we have between the 30 to 50 billion naira in savings in cost, because they're going to merge head offices, IT structures, back offices. They're going to be one. So if they had one chief security officer before, one each, maybe when they will have one now. So head offices, you know, so the cost savings from that will be between 30 to 50 billion. So it's immense. So for the shareholders looking at that, they know that there's so much value is created by the merger. And with time, those values will, you know, assimilate into the appreciation in their shares and values for the banks. So it's good news for them.
But how do you think that this will, this merger will reshape the African banking landscape, and what does this mean for competition?
We thought about this before, and we said in other lines and climes, when things like this happen, you need to, others need to respond. Because from the information that we had, we said the merger will create Africa's largest bank in retail, the customers number. And then from some information we had before, where we were waiting for the 2018 results to come for other banks, the merged bank as of September will be #1 in so many of the headings, like the deposit base, asset base, and so on and so forth. You know, so for a lot of, it's going to change the position of the industry. So we believe that the Taiwan banks, especially, will also respond to that. That's what normally happens. And so I believed, as the CBN governor said in the China Institute Bank said some time ago, we believe there are going to be more mergers and acquisition in the industry this year, because there are other candidates, potential candidates that are good for it.
Well, Chika, thanks so much for joining me this morning to discuss this. I've been speaking to Arise business analyst there, Chika Mbonu.